Hi, I'm so glad you could join us today for Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. We have Meara Platt, USA Today bestselling author Meara Platt with us today, and author Veronica Crowe with us today to talk about this week's releases. And I'm really, really excited. The covers and the setup for these series are so charming. So I'm anxious to find out more about the series and hear more about how the ladies ended up in this place. So thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Meara, your release this week was The Wonder of Love, which is book 11 in the Book of Love series.
Yes. And we'll go on to 100 if the readers will allow me. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
All right. It is, well, first of all, just a little backstory on the Book of Love, which is this idea that came to mind when I happened to be walking through a book fair. And I saw this one book that was called True Love. And I started thinking, and it had been written by a neurosurgeon or neuroscientist. And I just got me interested in thinking about the elements of love, like what makes a particular person fall in love with another particular person. And then I was thinking, because I love Regency and I write in Regency, wouldn't it be fun if my Regency heroines, because there's so much importance placed on them finding making a good match. What if they found this book in an antiquarian bookshop that told them the secrets of, finding true love and how to make a man fall in love with you. And so the idea, we started with book 1, and we are now on to book 11. So it's kind of like, the traveling pants. This is the traveling book as each heroine finds her true love, using the secrets in the book. Well, it's not so much using the secrets. It's kind of like making you aware of what goes on in the process of falling in love and what makes for a successful marriage or what makes for a connection between two people. And actually, a lot of what I write in these stories is interesting, is based on social conventions. It's based on the human response, the 5 senses, and things about commitment and expectations and things in a marriage, and what will make a marriage work and what won't. But anyway, now that I've gotten off the track, so book 11 is Shane Braden and Willow Farthingale who have met, and she's on her way to London to go, to be placed on the marriage mart, and he's the magistrate in the town of Taunton, which is in the kind of the south of England, and there's just a bunch of bad guys, and one of them lords who basically they're like a hellfire club, and one of them sets a fire. She sees who it is, and so the hero is determined to protect her, to make sure no harm comes to her. And that's basically the story. And in it, of course, as they fall in love, she's reading the Book of Love and seeing like how he's going to respond and understanding why he responds in what ways. And he's becomes interested in as he sees himself falling in love with her, and he finds her irritating, or she's just always opinionated and always,
as the best heroines are.
Him. Yes. And so but yet he's just loves her. He's just falling in love with her. And then he gets curious about the book too. So it's just fun. These are light. They're just meant to have readers who just want to be able to read with a smile on their face and laugh at different points in the story. But that's basically. I don't know if I explained anything.
No, you didn't. No, that was great. You I know some of your other series have fantasy elements in them, but yes. This one sounds like it's more like it's actually more brain chemistry and social structure than it is.
It's not really. Yeah, we kind of the heroines in the story kind of speak about it as having magical properties, but in fact it's really just teaching people how to learn about love and understand what true love is, not just the immediate appeal it's not just an instant attraction, which of course is an important element, but also then what sustains love.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And book 12 is out for pre-order now. That's Journey of Love.
Yes. And that one is this one in some of them, they're not all like cute, like fluffy, or I do always keep them light and fluffy because I don't really do angst very well, but I do deal with some issues and emotional issues, and very lightly, with a very light hand. And on this one, in the journey, it's just the heroine who had was attacked, had a trauma in the prior year, and she kept it quiet, kept it bottled up inside. And it's only as she starts to fall in love with the hero that it basically, he gives her the power. By connecting with him, she gains the power to stand on her own. And so that I thought was an important thing to tell. Yeah. But of course, it's done with the light hand, as always. So.
Awesome. So Veronica, your book came out on Tuesday, and it's My Only Earl. Mm-hmm. And it's book 3 in the Heirs of Cornwall series.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and the series? Those covers are so beautiful. I love the covers for both of your books, both of you ladies' series so much. So.
Yes, the Heirs of Cornwall series, I wrote that as a tribute to my childhood friend. And so the 3 books in this series, they're all about growing up with a childhood friend, and it goes you through that journey where they all grow up together, they fall in love, and they go their ways, by themselves. But the 3rd book in the series, My Only Earl, is about Edward and Diana. And these are the children of the people in the 1st book.
Oh, wow. So we get to see generations. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's a story of 2 childhood friends, and they had fallen in love with each other. So Diana in their youth. Everyone knew it except Diana and Edward. and which led to a number of complications. So Edward left for America, and Diana's parents arranged for her to marry somebody else, and which in turn prompts Cassie, Edward's mother, to decide that she would, meddle, because that's what mothers do.
Well, yeah.
That's right.
Even contemporary mothers do that.
Well, I do that all the time. But anyway, but the only question is her scheme going to work, or is it going to end up in a bigger disaster, or will it prove that a mother knows best? And so that's a story for the My Only Earl.
So I would like to tell everybody, I can see the questions that you're asking on the screen. So if you have questions for either of the ladies, please put them in, and I will try to ask them for you. But we'd love to have questions. But somebody said that they loved My Only Earl, and then somebody else asked if there were any more stories planned for the series.
There are. This series is actually 5 books.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have to submit a proposal. So
yes, but no date.
Yes, but no date. Yes, this series starts with their parents. So that's book 1 and book 2. And then, by the time we go to the 3rd book, it's their kids, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it's their kids' turn.
So you're saying the same time period for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th planned books, that they would be the same generation as the My Only Earl characters.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because if you keep bumping a generation, you could end up with.
You'll just have to send one of the modern heroines back in time.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, I started only with 3 characters in the first book, and I used 2 of the characters in the first book, which is why by the time I'm in the second book, I've run out of characters. So they have to have kids.
It's always good to have cousins and friends too.
Yes.
You know. So talking about time travel romance and time periods, would both of you talk a little bit about how you ended up writing historical and what it is that drew you to the genre and what you really love about it? What's the thing that keeps your interest?
Yeah, I grew up loving it. It's just always been really since I was a teenager. I've just loved the historical romance, and I just felt that the authors writing in the day, Judith MacNaught and Johanna Lindsay and Julie Garwood and Jude Devereaux, they were just wonderful. So I've just always had a love for it, and I love England and Scotland, and so it was just a natural for me. I wrote what I loved. So
that makes sense. What about you, Veronica? What drew you to the genre?
Well, historical is my. I'm actually an urban fantasy author, so I know it's completely unrelated. So I started with urban fantasy, and I love writing that genre. And my readers are, young adults. And but then one day I picked up a book by this author named Galen Foley. And I just fell in love with the book. And so I ended up reading the entire series and then started looking for more of that era. And then later on, I wanted to honor my childhood friend, except I wanted to write these stories, as a tribute, but in the Regency era. So that's how I ended up.
There's world building in both. There's world building in Regency books the same way there would be in urban fantasy books. So it kind of makes sense that you would gravitate to something that has that same kind of world building attached to it. So.
Yeah. Can I just? I wanted to. It's so funny when you mentioned the urban fantasy, and I actually, one of the other things I loved besides historical romance was actually dragon stories. So, which was what led me to do my Dark Garden series, which was still Regency because I just love that time period. But the left brain and right brain, they like to go in different directions sometimes.
It's funny though, where you can find the similarities and the overlaps. I was at a conference where, and I'm terrible because I don't remember the name of the woman who did it. It's not Jennifer Armentrout, but it's somebody like that who did writing for your id. And when you write down the things that you really love to write about, the things that you're really drawn to, it's amazing how many things will cross over each other, and there'll be things that are the part that catches you and the part that makes you want to keep going. So you both talked about setting your books in different places. Have you gotten to visit any of the places that you've set your books? Have you been inspired by your travels to choose to put books in certain places, or?
Yes. Short answer.
Because it's Scotland and England. I heard that part.
I just love England and Scotland. I've traveled there a couple of times, never stayed very long, but and my dream was, until COVID hit, was actually to go and spend a summer, just living in the different going from corner to corner and north and south, and just it will get done as soon as the world clears up a little bit.
Well, hopefully that won't be too much longer. Veronica, have you been any of the places you've? My sister lives in Cornwall, Pennsylvania, and I imagine that this is Cornwall, England. And
well, I've never been to any place. No, not in England, not in Scotland. But a couple of years ago, we planned to go. So we planned it right after, one of our seasonal PI shoots, and a number of us were going in my crew. And then the pandemic hit right on the day that we were about to leave. And so we were all bummed out, and that trip was canceled, and we moved it now to 2022. And hopefully we can go, but we'll see. We'll see.
You do historical photo shoots and videography as well, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I imagine navigating the pandemic has been a bit of a challenge that way too.
Oh, yes. It was, we had to follow a lot of rules and protocols, and we had to have a COVID officer on set. We had to equip our shoots with these ginormous filters, and everybody is, in a mask. And you can imagine, like, if we're shooting 12 hours, this big camera on your face and this mask on your face. So, but we had to do it. We had face shields and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can come to the shoot unless they have a clearance that they're COVID free. And, and that's just the way we had to do it. We tried to delay shooting as much as possible, but we had to eventually do it, so this year. So I had to shoot a lot of authors, for authors this year, because, everything has to go on.
We can't pause forever.
Yeah.
So since you're actually doing the photo shoots and the videography, you have to deal with costumes, with actual costumes,
Yes.
instead of just imagined dress. Where do you get your costumes? Is there something particular about the Regency era clothes that you're interested in?
But our costumes are all made in-house. Rosa Candelario is our designer, and she designs all those. And mostly the ideas for the costumes come from our authors. And, I would get emails and say, hey, VJ, how come you're not shooting somebody in this, outfit? We want to see something in this outfit. And so, I just collect everybody's feedback and then try and fulfill those, because those are, what they're looking for. And, and that's how we come up with whatever costumes we use.
Cool. Ladies, would you mind if we talked a little bit about your writing process and how your days go? Like, when you find time to write, how do you fit it in? Do you need to listen to music? Are you coffee or tea drinkers? What's your favorite?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I still actually have a very active day job, which if I look a little frazzled, it's because
I'm starting to tell
literally
myself, if Meara can get it done, you can get it done.
But I basically write because my kids are grown now and out of the house. So it's just me and my husband home, and I write every spare moment. I write, and now that I don't have to commute into the city, it saves me actually 3 hours per day.
Oh, wow.
in a commute. So the days that I work from home, I love working remotely. So, if I panned out to this room, which I've taken over my daughter's old bedroom and, using it as my office, it's as if a bomb went off in it. It's a mess of papers and files and stuff. But no, and then when I write, my process is silence. I write to quiet pretty much, and I never put a drink anywhere close to my computer because I will knock it over.
So no coffee shops and no coffee or tea while you're working.
No.
Do you write better in the mornings or at night, or do you not notice a difference?
Oh, definitely notice a difference. Mornings is the best. So the weekends, or on a morning, now that I don't have to commute most days, if I get up at 6 a.m, I'll just write from 6 to 9, and that's a very productive time. And then I'll do my day job. So
that's a nice chunk of time too. 2.5, 3 hours is a nice chunk of time to be able to sink into a story. So.
Yes, it is. And I find I need, maybe Veronica's the same. I find I need a block of time. I can't just sit and do half an hour or 20 minutes. I need a block of time.
Me too.
Do you plot or do you pants?
I would say
You
my
have a
character.
long series too, so
Yeah,
did you want
yeah.
the series in addition to the books? Or?
Yeah, I actually I pants it or plant, kind of like plants it, a little mix of it. But what I really do is work on my characters first, and once I know which which hero I'm going to pair with the heroine, and they do talk in my head. They absolutely, and I've had instances where they've revolted in my head, absolutely rioted and said, "You cannot give me this hero. I will not accept it." Or this hero will say, "Oh no, I'm claiming her, not her. Her. She's got to be the one." And so that works very well for me. Actually, when they're that vehement about it in my head, those books usually,
you just have to get out of the way.
Yeah, as I write them. But once I have the characters and I know their personalities, then I can wrap the plot around it. And I only do loosely. I don't itemize anything because they'll take me where they want me to go.
Veronica, do you have people in your head too?
Yes, and they won't stop talking. It's my writing process is almost similar to Meara's, where I need a huge chunk of time. And in fact, I work from home and I shoot at my house. We actually build like a movie set in my living room. That's it's completely empty, and that's where we do the shoots. And right now we just renovated. It looks like Marie Antoinette's sitting room. I'm gonna show it to you later. But anyway, but I do need that chunk of time, and I have to be alone and in total silence so I can.
That's interesting for both of you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes I would like put on my headphones and listen to piano music. In the background, if my crew has to go in and because that will keep me focused on my work, because where I write is actually right next to the wardrobe people, and the wardrobe people are crazy. It's like a nonstop activity, so just to keep myself focused, so I put on my headphones.
Yeah. Oh, and I have to say, Veronica, you have the most beautiful costumes too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love them. And I at the historical romance retreat, we, you had them for the authors to rent, or for the participants to rent, and they were just beautiful. I actually, going from New York out to California, I was worried about carrying all of these costumes. I'm going to fit everything into my luggage, but I was able to rent as I needed, and they were just lovely.
Well, that's really awesome. Thank you so much.
We appreciated it, believe me.
I'm going to tell the wardrobe people. They're actually preparing for the 2022 ones now. They're getting everything ready now, and I believe that they're going to start posting the new collection for authors by September, I think, or October, somewhere between those dates. So
I love it. Can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to use it as an excuse to be able to do some hand sewing, because I love to hand sew, but I don't like any of the things that I make. And I thought I could make myself something to wear. That would be fun. I have a reason, and I'm not just a crazy lady sitting in my room sewing at night. So when we were getting started, we were talking a little bit about where we lived, and Veronica, you talked a little bit about your garden and about it being dry. Mm-hmm. Do you garden as a hobby? Do you have a large garden, or is there?
No, my garden's a typical size. In California, we don't have these large lots. I wish I did, but I cannot grow anything, to tell you the truth, except succulents. You give me something very simple, and I will kill. It has to be a cactus of some sort.
I killed my succulents. I had to give them to my dad. Oh, it was terrible. I feel like a failure. Get yourself some mail order succulents that come looking beautiful. I was so excited. I planted them all, and in like 2 months of my tender care, they were almost dead. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
They're fine now. I just gave them to my dad, and he fixed it.
Yeah, that's all I can grow. And even so, you lose them because of this bad weather, and you'll be surprised that they do burn under the sun, the succulent. So I put like a
Yeah.
screen on top. And, that's my hobby, and I like doing it. Sometimes, while I'm doing it, your mind drifts, and you get ideas for stories, and you'll never know. You can be washing the dishes or taking a
Yeah.
shower when it comes to you. So
Both of you ladies are so busy that I imagine having hobbies is a bit of a challenge.
I actually used to be a pretty avid gardener, and I had a really, really nice garden in the backyard. The perennials have lasted, but the annuals, forget it. They're gone. I don't even go now. I don't have time. But, you can probably get a hint that I love flowers, because the heroines in all my stories are the Farthingale girls are all have flower names.
Yep.
And as the series goes on, and plus I also had like what I call the original 5 Farthingales sisters who started this series before I started writing for Dragonblade. They're also flower names. So when you add all of them, I'm going through the entire botanical dictionary.
I would say once you get past the obvious lilies and roses, it's
yeah. I know, daisy, poppy, violet. We're going to start stretching, and now we've got in the last 3 in the book 10, 11, and 12. It was juniper, willow, and camellia. So we're getting into like the little less used flower names.
So, ladies, we're almost out of time. Can you both tell me a little bit about what's coming next for you? I know we talked about your series extending. Is there anything that you're working on, or any ideas that are turning around in the back of your head that you're excited to get started on?
I have two things. First of all, I just signed with Dragonblade for a 13th. I call it Lucky 13th book in the Book of Love series, and then I'm going to be writing a new series for them called Moonstone Landing, and that will start with 3 books. We'll start with 3 books and see where that goes as well. So I'm very excited about those.
Good. What about you, Veronica?
I'm currently writing The Last Christmas, and this is for the Christmas collection for the Star of Light, I believe.
Star of Light.
Yeah, Star of Light.
We have Star of Wonder and Star of Light.
Star of Wonder. I'll have one in Star of Wonder.
That collection.
Yeah, so that's what I'm currently writing, and so I'm writing, and I realized that I overshot the word count by like 3,000 words already. And
that's a better problem to have than the other one, right?
And so I posted on my Facebook, what do I do now? And everybody's so great that gave me all this advice, and Dragonblade Daughters like, well, this is what you should do. And like, I just got carried away. But so now I have to cut the story and make it work. But I think it's gonna be a good one. I really like it.
Those collections look fantastic. And they're packed full, and they're 99 cents. It's like it's the best deal around. Star of Wonder and Star of Light. I'll pop that in the links to those in the comment section too, and the links to both of this week's books. If you haven't had a chance to get them, you need them for this weekend. So you'll be able to get a hold of both of them really easily. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I really appreciate it. It was great that you managed to fit this into your busy schedules, and I love that you took time for breakfast and lunch with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next week at the same time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.